Okay, this is my meth pump tank, not a pump, tank. This is the bracket. It's coming along nicely. So you can see that the fitment is pretty snug. It matches the contour on the bottom. And then I grabbed onto the sides here for stability, which I guess it doesn't really need with this in there, but I like making things more difficult than they need to be. I dropped in bosses for the bolts. Turns out the long ones have a different head size, so it didn't work on the shorter ones. So I'm just putting a socket cap, I believe they're called, bolt with an Allen key, and that fits fine. And then I dropped in two 6x125 metric nuts for this, which I'll explain. But first, so there's the anchors, and I found on the first design, I had to, it didn't work because it was too much flat surface area on the bottom and it was interfering with the rough nature of the spare trunk well. So by localizing the points down to just here and here, I only need a flat surface area of this. Now, what that will do is create some abnormal stresses along the bottom of the plate, but I'm banking on the fact that the stability of the tank, as well as the heavy gauge mounting points, will draw enough stability through the structure that this won't bend. And honestly, even if it does, it's gonna bend. It's got nowhere to go. I always take my stuff off and check it for cracking to see if anything's failed though. So if it breaks, it breaks, and I'll fix it. It's the beauty of printing. It's really cheap and easy to play with. But yeah, so I've got the mounting point there, and then there's obviously going to be another one that's printing right now on the other side. It's a little bit tricky to do with. There we go. Sorry for the camera. And then that leaves these two. This is going to be my module control and battery support box. Name pending. The battery died in the Fiesta, and it got me thinking about what I was going to do for power distribution to the pump. And I need something heavy back there because the pump it's a bunch of amps. And I had thought about running the wire to that nice convenient spot in the engine bay, but I don't want to run another cable into there, especially if there's going to be the meth line. It's just adding more and more stuff under the car. It doesn't need to be there because I can just buy a motorcycle battery, lithium battery that weighs absolutely nothing, and I can use it to power everything. And then I can switch power supply with a normal relay using something that's hopefully hot, engine off, key on engine off. And your normal key on engine off cycle. But that's the plan. So this back one is printing. This one's gonna go in the car, and I'm gonna be finishing up the manifold. Bye-bye. Hi. All right. This is the bracket I started with. I had a spot for the indent where the baffle is inside the tank. It's a little bump thing. You can kind of see it right here. I had the localized pressure point right here so that it would fit on a nice small spot in the trunk. And I even included some captive nuts for the module box that I'm creating that'll contain everything. I always make everything more complicated than it needs to be. And then I work backwards. It's just my process. It is what it is. So needless to say, this is the actual bracket. It's way simpler. There are two of them, so I just double this up. I'm gonna create a second thing for the module bracket. I don't want to try to tie it all in. There's no reason to make it that complicated. It's just gonna make it more difficult. So for now, this is what works. And yeah, I will go ahead and get this installed and show you the fitment. Okie dokie. First bracket is in and is super sturdy. I'm using riv nuts and everyone's favorite step up bit because it's not big enough to run the other bits. I'm gonna do the other side and pray because it is super duper tight. The next rendition of these, I would be better suited to raise it up more than 10 mil. You can see I had to like really mess around with fitment to get it to work. And if it was literally another 10 millimeters higher, it would fit even better and I'd have more leeway. I kept going for two reasons. One, because I'm impatient and I don't wait for anything, which always causes headaches. Don't do that. But also, the way I see it, the location I have it, or I'm going to have it, is the optimal location, as it's the one that can work with the least amount of riser. So I mean, that's how I'm justifying it. All right, I'm gonna finish this. Last bracket is going in. Action shot! Action shot! Michael Bay? Anyway, okay. So, this should be first assembly. Yeah, I put it on backwards. Well, this is it. Came out pretty good. It's pretty sturdy. A little bit of wobble. I mean, like, I'm putting a fair amount of force out. I got a strain gauge, a scale that you can pull on to check weight. But, I mean, it really doesn't want to move, and there's not going to be anything back there. I'll have to test it. I mean, I can always make the brackets beefier. The problem is this thing is a giant lever because it's literally, I mean, it's going to be top heavy, so it's going to want to torque when it's full. I'll probably put a camera back there. I don't really think it's going to go anywhere. I mean, there's not going to be any load from the top, and if you push from the bottom, it's rock solid. Like I can't hurt it that way or push it at all from the bottom. I don't know. I mean, I'll probably just run it, and if I get any cracking, I'll beef it up. But yeah, its fitment was okay. It came down to the fact that my installation was actually not super great, and it's really hard to mark your position there. I think to make the design better, if I had something to make a template, that would make life easier, because if you're using these in a tight space, which means it's going to be hard to mark your position. Also, I always underdimension everything, so everything's super tight. The bolts are tight to the part is tight to the nut. I mean, and it just, I don't know what it is, like when you're in CAD and you design these things, you're just like, oh, I'll give it a couple tenths over, it'll be all right. And then you get in there and you're like, wow, that looked a lot bigger. But whatever, that's my lament for the night. This is done. I'm gonna plumb it, and I'm going to spray some meth into my engine.